We've got Dennis Robare with us. He's a cyber security engineer with BMW Group. He's going to talk to us about strong authentication in the agile enterprise. BMW has been a very good partner and customer of ours over the last number of years, and we're super excited to have Dennis come and talk to us about how BMW is using the Micro Focus technology. Dennis, come on up. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, shake your hand. There you go. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here this morning. As mentioned, my name is Dennis Robare, and I'm going to share with you guys just a little bit about our recent project with Micro Focus on strong authentication. And so we'll go ahead and begin. The presentation is a little different than probably much of the sessions we've had this week so far. It's going to be a little more technical. And actually, since we're such a large company with a large project here, it might be a lot of material to cram into a 30-minute session, so I'm going to keep moving fairly quickly, but by all means, feel free to catch me out afterwards outside the door, and I can answer any questions we have if we don't have time here during the 30-minute session. So let's go ahead and begin. Just a brief introduction of both myself and BMW. As mentioned, my name is Dennis Robare. I'm born and raised in the United States, as I'm sure most of you could tell just by my talking. I've been at BMW for a little over 4 years. I have a bachelor's in computer science, master's in computer science, all the normal certificates most of you guys probably have as well. Personal life, my wife and I have 4 children, 10, 8, 6, and 4, so they're all fairly young. I have 3 girls and 1 little boy who's very energetic, keeps us on our toes. I enjoy everything outdoors, hunting, fishing, love sports, so that's me. Let me share a little bit about BMW. I'm sure you all are familiar with BMWs. Maybe some of you guys own or drive BMWs. We have 60 nationalities in 29 countries around the world. We're very diverse. We have 230 products. We have over 600, almost 700 locations globally. This includes offices, plants, etc. We have over 12 million vehicles in distribution around the globe, and over 1 billion requests to our backend through the Connected Drive app running on the cars themselves. You can see a little bit of our main locations on the map over there. We have offices again in the United States. Oh, something happened. There we go. United States, the East Coast, and South Carolina, where I'm from. Then we have a tech office over in California. We have a new plant going into Mexico right now. We got plants, of course, in Europe and all over the world. But these are the IT centers we see on this map. And they comprise about 5,000 employees in the BMW Group IT field. So let me share with you guys a bit about our project. As I mentioned, this will be a little more technical than probably some of the presentations we've had so far this week, but hopefully you'll enjoy that fact. So the project's name, we've deemed it to be Strong Auth Next. And this kind of goes along with our 100-year strategy that our corporate strategy folks developed for us. But the project is set to increase and enhance our strong authentication security at BMW. Our project encompasses over 120,000 employees, associates, external contractors, partners, dealers, etc., over the whole globe. We have partnered with various companies to support us in this endeavor. It's quite large, and so we've reached out to a handful of other companies to assist us in this. Our main objectives, first and foremost, is the replacement of our RSA infrastructure, which is our current strong authentication solution. It consists of over 500 existing applications that are using the RSA system. It's going to include a handful, or actually a good number of additional use cases, additional applications and such that don't yet have strong authentication, but due to the ever-growing threat, we need to provide strong authentication to these applications, so it's going to expand quite a bit as well. We want to provide a more user-friendly enrollment process for our end users, and so we'll talk a bit about that today. And of course, with a large international company, shipping and logistics gets quite complicated, so we decided to outsource that completely. And then last but not least, you'll learn that we have quite a complicated system in our IT infrastructure, and due to that fact, we need to have the ability to share authenticators across accounts, and we'll get into some details about that a little later so it makes more sense. There we go. So our project partners, it all started in 2017 with MTRIX. MTRIX is a German company, strong authentication or authentication company. They helped us with our proof of concept and testing the product from Micro Focus, the advanced authentication product, by the way. They helped us with licenses and support, project management support, and they've developed a custom enrollment portal for us, and we'll get a couple screenshots of that a little later. Obviously, you guys know who Micro Focus is because we're all here at the Micro Focus Universe Conference, but they provide the product itself, the advanced authentication product. Recently it was changed from advanced authentication framework to just advanced authentication. They offer us support, of course, as well, with deployment options, bug fixes, etc., enhancement requests. We'll talk a little bit about some of this as we go along. We've partnered with Yubico to provide us our physical tokens, our hardware tokens, so we use YubiKeys. Anybody familiar with YubiKeys? Okay, great. They work pretty well. We'll talk a bit about them. They pre-program these YubiKeys for us because we have tens of thousands of them, or we will eventually have well over 100,000. So they do that for us. And then the final company we've partnered with is Bechtel, also I believe out of Germany, and they do our logistics and shipping needs. And they have also offered us an online portal we'll talk about here in a minute as well. So just keeping going, let's go over the objectives and some of the respective challenges that we've encountered over the past year and a half of our project, and hopefully this will give you guys some insight as to maybe some things to look at if you venture down this road as well. So the Authentication Manager, the RSA Authentication Manager is, again, our current solution. We have over 80,000 hardware tokens in distribution currently. The product offers hardware tokens, software tokens, and SMS-based messages tokens as well, so on demand. And all token types are proprietary to RSA. This was one of our shortcomings with the product, actually. It limits the options in our application or system integrations. There's really just a few interfaces available to the product, primarily Radius or the built-in RSA agents they provide. One of the other things that is challenging with this is that the RSA tokens have a expiration date. So in our case, they're 10 years. And so the tokens have an expiration date, and they only support a single-step authentication method. So if you're familiar with authentication, single step means one prompt from the user. They put in a PIN plus the token code that's on the RSA token in combination, and they submit that to be validated. The Micro Focus product offers us some advantages. It offers us numerous options for application and system integration. We have Radius connections similar to RSA, but we also have SAML, OAuth, and many others. There's a really good REST API that's available to develop against. So it offers us more means to connect our systems to the authentication platform. And this ultimately means that we can expand our offering of strong authentication across the BMW IT landscape. It supports over 20 authenticators, and this was one of the things that caught my attention when we did the proof of concept in 2017. It supports a number of different authenticators or tokens, hardware, software, biometrics, etc. Very good, very granular, very extensive list of supported options there. Again, there's no proprietary tokens here. We don't need to buy just RSA tokens. You can buy Yubico tokens, you can buy Fission offers them. There's all kinds of companies that make tokens, the Google Titans or whatever that is. Any of them, they all work with the product. So we really like that flexibility. And one of the things we didn't really, I think, realize at first, it was a huge benefit, but the fact that it does multi-step authentication is really proven also to be quite beneficial. And we'll explain that in a minute as well if you're not familiar with that. So again, one of the biggest challenges we have is migrating all of these existing users and applications from the old infrastructure to our new one. As I mentioned, we have over 80,000 RSA tokens in distribution. Actually, I think it's closer to 90,000 right now. We have over 500 applications using RSA to protect the logins with strong authentication. We also have over 80 web applications that need strong authentication, and we have German retirees specifically using the SMS tokens. We call them on-demand tokens because they're generated at runtime and sent to the user's mobile device. VPN happens to be our largest use case currently. We have about 80,000 people using our VPN across the globe, and they use our RSA tokens currently to connect and authenticate to the VPN. Some challenges with this migration process is the fact that we have all these tokens in distribution with expiration dates. And so one of the challenges we have is getting our new solution in place, getting YubiKeys distributed while not having to purchase new RSA tokens because they're expiring. And quite frankly, we're not, it's almost impossible with the number of tokens we need to handle and deal with to do that. So we're having to still purchase some RSA tokens, unfortunately. But it's just something that I share with you that's been challenging. Tokens are expiring, but we're going to replace them in the next year or two, meaning really we're paying for 10 years worth of that token. We're only going to use a year or two of it, but we haven't found a good way to avoid this or work around this. Another problem we have is obviously engaging with all the application owners to get their systems migrated. We have a major dependency for our web applications. Our web applications are protected by a product called SiteMinder from CA. This is being migrated to a ForgeRock product called OpenAM. And so we have some dependencies on the team that's responsible for those applications to integrate with our new backend as well. And then lastly, and probably one of the biggest challenges we face is just the user education process, right? I mean, we have 120,000 associates, contractors, et cetera, globally, and they're all used to doing things one way. And if there's anything that folks in IT know is that people don't like change. And so communicating this change is very important. It's very vital to the success of our project, and also making sure that our service desk personnel have the proper resources, tools, and answers to handle the questions and tickets that will come their way. Additional use case, as I mentioned, the new product offers us the ability to interface with a lot of new systems that weren't capable previously of communicating to RSA. And so we're going to be expanding our strong authentication platform as well. Our biggest new use case, and it'll be our biggest use case in general, is the Windows Group Client login. So basically our Windows laptops will be protected by strong authentication at the initial login. And this will happen to every system worldwide. So well over 120,000 machines will now be protected by the Micro Focus Advanced Authentication Agent. There's also Linux and Mac clients. We have started some Linux client work, but we haven't really done anything with Macs yet. Macs present a whole new challenge, or set of challenges, so we're working on that still in more of a development phase. We need to introduce strong authentication to our mobile applications. BMW uses a lot of mobile apps for the connectivity to the cars, et cetera. So we have new challenges with that. We haven't currently done any work with RSA with these mobile apps, so now we're needing to do this for mobile apps. We have some custom development work. Again, some of our applications don't have SAML or OAuth or Radius, and they need custom interfaces being developed for them, so we have to support that. And we're going to support mobile push notifications, so smartphone push notifications. So that's a new technology that we're going to introduce as well as a secondary authenticator to the YubiKey. We're giving our users the option to have a physical and a non-physical or software-based token with the mobile push. So some challenges we have with these new use cases. We have 10 domains around the globe that our clients connect to. Domains in Europe, in America, in China, in South Africa. This presents some challenges, and we'll explain a little more details in a bit. We have various hardware devices that have to be compatible with our YubiKeys. We have Mac workbooks, and we have HP laptops, and we have tablets, and we have all kinds of stuff. So we have to take all that into consideration to make sure that whatever we go with a solution here is flexible and granular enough to meet all those needs. And lastly, of course, again, the user education piece, getting these end users the information they need and the tools they need and answers. Let me share with you guys a little bit now about our custom enrollment portal. I'm kind of going through our main objectives, if you've noticed, from that list. So as we go down the list, we'll talk about the specific companies that are offering these things to us. The previous two slides, the new cases and the migration, are primarily focused about Micro Focus. This next couple slides deals with MTRIX and the work they're providing us as our partner. So this custom enrollment portal, there's a few things we wanted that the out-of-the-box enrollment portal we felt could improve on a little bit, and they have made some improvements to it, but we have asked for something that can be branded, customized, branded for BMW's purposes. We want it to be a little more user-friendly. And also, we wanted it to have basically an enrollment wizard approach. With the out-of-the-box portal, you can enroll all the authenticators. Obviously, the tool works, but it's very one-off. You do one here, one there, whatever ones you want. With the wizard-based approach, a user will log in and is then told, okay, you don't have these 3 authenticators that BMW requires, so I'm going to step you through enrolling each one of those, one by one, until you have them all. If you fail to do one, you close your browser, you exit the browser early. Next time you come in, it'll tell you, like you see in this little pop-up in the screenshot, this enrollment method is missing. So make sure you get this. It's required at BMW to have authentication work in certain use cases. So in the three we've chosen is the PIN as a knowledge factor, and then we have two possession factors. Both are the YubiKey, but they're different protocols. The YubiKey, we'll talk about this in a minute, is quite diverse and quite flexible as well. A couple more screenshots real quick. Again, we wanted things as simple as possible. Why? Because we know who we're dealing with our end users. We know end users. We have to believe that they are going to be the most incompetent people on the planet, and we have to make sure that our documentation, our processes are geared so that nobody will have a difficult time following through on these procedures. So we've asked them, and they've delivered, MTRIX has delivered a very polished, very well polished, very streamlined approach to enrollment. A couple screenshots you see here, very simple, very clean, and we're very pleased with that. So enough for MTRIX. Yubico, as I mentioned, the YubiKey is our flagship authenticator. Yubico offers a number of different formats. We have USB-A, USB-C. There's YubiKeys with NFC, near-field communication technology, and they're working on one for later this year that will plug into an iPhone using the Lightning link. And it actually has a USB-C adapter on the other side, so that's quite handy for mobile phones, which any of the other options won't, the USB-As, they won't plug into a phone. So we needed to come up with an alternative there, but Yubico is working on something for us. So we like the flexibility of the Yubico product, what they offer. We have the ability to plug it into pretty much any hardware device we want. The near-field communication technology could be utilized for phones. We're not going to choose to do that because we don't feel like it's quite ready for the enterprise level stuff yet. But as I mentioned previously, Yubico pre-programs these for us. So when we buy these things, we buy them in batches of the thousands. They pre-program them with the values we set in our back end, and then they deliver those to us. We import the seed records, and then the YubiKeys can be distributed by any means necessary. Lastly, Bechtel. Bechtel provides our logistics and shipping needs. So we've outsourced this to them. They ship all the YubiKeys are all shipped from Yubico directly to Bechtel's warehouse, where then they distribute them based on the orders that come in. All internal orders, if they're ordered internally within BMW, get forwarded to Bechtel. Bechtel then takes care of the shipping of that. And they also provide an online portal for some of our external users, our partners and dealers and et cetera around the globe. If they're not at a BMW location where they can order internally, they go to this website. It's a catalog type of thing. They find the YubiKey, they order it, and Bechtel takes care of the shipping for us. So lastly, one of the things I mentioned was that we have 10 domains. And this presents challenges because when you want to log into a Windows laptop, you have to use an account that belongs to that domain typically. Or at the very least, you have to use a domain account. Our primary user repository that we use to house our accounts for authentication is not a Windows domain. It's not an Active Directory domain. It's actually just an LDAP repository we use. So we have a challenge in the sense that we cannot enroll a YubiKey against the one account for our user, our identity, and we cannot take that same YubiKey and enroll it against a domain account, for instance. So I might have an account in the Europe domain. I have an account also in the Americas domain. I also have an account in this LDAP repository that's traditionally been used for BMW's authentication. So now I can't authenticate against all three of those unless I have three separate tokens. At least that's how it worked with RSA. That's a challenge. That's a problem. We don't want to distribute 300,000 tokens. 100,000 is enough. So thankfully, the Micro Focus product offers authenticator link-in or share-in, and we can leverage that. So what it does for us is it allows us to take my one YubiKey, enroll it against my one LDAP account, and then share it across all of my different domain accounts. So I carry one YubiKey, and I can use it across all of my accounts, whether it's for my Windows login or whether it's for my VPN connection, or any other login for that matter. And so what we've done is we've internally, BMW, myself included, have developed a small little REST API to automate this process for us. So the custom enrollment process or custom enrollment portal that MTRIX has developed for us will link into this tool. So when a customer enrolls their YubiKey for U2F, for instance, HOTP, or they enroll their PIN, maybe they enroll their smartphone, at the time of enrollment, that custom enrollment portal will send a link to this application, this little REST API. It does all the linking in the background, and the user is all set to go across all the different authentication prompts that he or she might experience at BMW. All right, let me share with you guys a little bit about some of the lessons learned. This has been a long project. We've been going about 1.5 years already now. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and we're going to share some of those with you. First, we'll start with the downs. At first, we experienced a lot of challenges in trying to make one solution fit all the needs of BMW. Again, we're a complex environment. We've got thousands and thousands of applications, some legacy systems that really threw some hurdles in on us. So some of the struggles initially surrounding the project were with communication and missing deadlines. We had some issues at first. We're also a very demanding company, and I'll openly admit that. But we had various support engineers at first. We had some issues with the ticketing system at Micro Focus, and thankfully we resolved those. But we had some problems with the application or some product deficiencies or deficiencies we felt. And we had some shortcomings as well with the Bekla portal. Some things in there that just didn't make sense to us or didn't work properly or work well. How did those things improve? Well, first and foremost, the communication improved. And Micro Focus started meeting some deadlines and delivering some product improvements for us. MTRIX as well as Micro Focus both really focused on increased communication. And that was a real big key to the improvement process of the project. Enhancement requests. Micro Focus actually has an ideas portal where you can go and you can request a feature enhancement to a product. I don't know, hopefully you guys are familiar with that, with any products you might use from Micro Focus. But that's been a lifesaver for us because we go there, we enter our description of our enhancement request. Customers can vote it up or down, so if other customers see it and like, that's a great idea, they can vote for it. We've found other customer ideas that we've liked and we've voted for, and we've seen those implemented in the product that we like. We've offered other ideas as well. So that's really good. Micro Focus has addressed these needs. They've delivered quite well lately on a lot of our feature requests and enhancement requests. And we've talked to Bechtel, and we've gotten that process ironed out a little better as well. So just a few examples of some of the things, the tangible deliverables that they gave us. We had some latency issues with our Windows login client for a while. Micro Focus was able to really work that out for us. There were some issues with very large screen resolutions that were causing the agent to be slow. They've knocked that out for us. We had some deployment options issues at first. There was a limited number of deployment options with the product, and we told them, our server team, our virtual server team, only handles deployment one way, and we need it to be in this format, and they delivered that for us. So that was a great deliverable. With the smartphone authenticator, we don't want any type of offline software-based token where there's a seed record on the mobile device. We thought that as a security vulnerability. They removed it for us. Some other ones that are more technical, the repository stuff, that's more product-specific. We did ask for some more granularity towards the writes. They delivered that as well. And we asked for a more robust backup solution. The disaster recovery plan at first of the product was pretty simple. Do whatever you normally do for your rest of your servers. We felt that we needed something more, and they've delivered that for us within the product. And actually, the next version of the product is going to come out with a GUI, a visual web-based interface to utilize this tool. So we've been pretty pleased with that. All right, doing good on time. Let me go ahead and just share with you some of the accomplishments that we've achieved as a project. We have a test integration and a production environment in place currently. We have currently migrated a portion of our virtual desktop infrastructure. We have a large virtual desktop environment, a VDI environment. We have many people using YubiKeys now instead of the RSA tokens there. We've actually also tested this against an IBM mainframe, and the product works really well against that. They have a plugin essentially that you can install on the mainframe, and it interfaces with our backend. Quite nice, so we're really proud of that. We've also migrated our VPN solution just recently, so we now have people all across the globe using VPN access with the YubiKeys instead of the RSA tokens. We're currently running a Windows pilot. We have a couple hundred people probably now testing that for us. So we're finding new things with that, getting feedback, making improvements on that. And we have several thousand YubiKeys in distribution. I think it was 11,000 roughly. We have about 7,000 users who have registered those tokens and are using them in some way, shape, or form. And so we're getting there. We have a lot to do still, however. Our landscape is quite large. It's quite complex. There's still much to be done. Some of the things left is we have to migrate these web applications still. We have a dependency on the team that manages SiteMinder and OpenAM, as I mentioned. So we have to get on board with them and get their resources available to us so we can start migrating these web applications. We do have a large number of applications out of those 500 still using RSA. That's all still needs to be done. Lastly, the new authentication systems, right? Our high secure file system is new. We're going to protect that with the YubiKey. Office 365, SAP, there's a lot of large systems left that still need to be migrated away from RSA, or added, in this case, I should say, to the new platform. So we're going to be busy over the coming years with Micro Focus and our other partners. And of course, there's always new feature requests that come along as the project develops. Key takeaways. So what am I trying to help you guys with? What purpose is it for you to sit here for 30 minutes and listen to me babble on? Well, first thing is know your partners. Your partners will help or make or break a project. And frequent communication is paramount. At first, our communication was not as good as it should have been, and we struggled. We had a lot of downhill battles to face because our communication just wasn't as well as it should have been. So we improved on that. Know your dependencies. Have a plan to address these dependencies, especially external dependencies. They can really really hamper a project and slow you down, and we've learned that firsthand. And so I would suggest really know your dependencies and try and have a plan ahead of time in how to deal with those. Know your scope. When we POC'd the product, we really didn't scale it as well as we probably should have because we just didn't have the resources at the time, the manpower to do this, but our testing results should really scale to our environment. We tested this with a handful of servers. Our actual environment has 30 servers. So you want to make sure you scale properly and that your test results will scale well also. Know your limits, and I say this because we had a number, and we still have a number of legacy systems that really constrain us. They have limitations that we cannot get away from. Many of our systems are solely capable of doing radius connections. With a radius interface, you have a key length limitation. You cannot use a U2F token, for instance, over a radius connection. The key length is too large. Well, that means we're forced to use an HOTP protocol on the YubiKey. That's great, but if we didn't have to use HOTP tokens, we could actually just let people go to Amazon, buy a U2F token, come to the office, plug it in, and it would be just as secure as if we provided it through the Bechtel. So there's some limitations there that these legacy systems unfortunately constrain us to. So know those so you know how to deal with them. And lastly, know your boundaries, and by this I'm referring to the logistical challenges of an international global company like BMW. We have shipping needs to China, for instance. We've had RSA tokens get stuck in customs for months at times. There's challenges with international shipping and such, and so know your boundaries, know the challenges that can arise for that, and then find a partner that can help you deal with that in a proper way. Last but not least, I just want to thank you guys for coming. Together with our partners, we know BMW's future will be a strong one, and I thank you guys for your time.